So please participate in that. So with that, we've got a very important summary of all the work you've done that's coming out from this team that's assembled it from all the work, and then we'll have a ceremonial closing. So thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague and the professor, founder of this center, Gerald Torres.
First of all, I want to thank everyone who's come. I want everyone who's been here the whole time. Speaking for myself, I want to thank you all for a couple of things. One is the ideas that you've generated over the course of the last day and a half, but also the reaffirmation that there is a community that is large, that is diverse, that is committed, and we want to help feed that community. And we need community now, I think, more than, we always need community, but the felt need for it is greater now. And so I want to thank you because it actually, and this is purely selfish, I concede, right? It made me feel better. Right, it made me feel better. All right, storming the stage early. That's what and so what we're going to do, what we're going to do is to go through in a summary fashion some of the ideas that have been generated over the course of the tracks. And we're kind of divided into two main areas. Obviously, when we're done, if there's things you want to add, we'll be open for that as well. But one is the inspiration, some of the inspirational ideas that were generated in the tracks, and the second is the action that was generated from the tracks. That not just what inspires us to continue the work, but what work are we going to do, right? What work are we going to do? So with that, I guess I'll start, although we should start with action. No. I'm kidding. So one of the first inspirational comments that derived from the material you all produced is the recognition that we are not separate from nature. We're part of nature. That we're in a reciprocal relationship with the land. We take care of it. It takes care of us. To be out in relation with the land and to understand your place within the land and to enjoy the fruits, sometimes literally, of what you are protecting. And reclaiming land is a form of reclaiming ourselves. That's first. Second is the focus ought to be on what we are fighting for, not who we are fighting against or what we're fighting against. This is a positive movement, right? And so what we are fighting for is a critical position to take. It doesn't mean we have to ignore the root causes of some of the challenges that we're facing, ranging, from the origins in colonialism forward. But finally, after that analysis, what we're doing is we want to focus on what we're fighting for, right? Because we want to help build that vision, not just that we have, but a vision that people can share. Climate work extends beyond the election cycles, and it extends beyond those colonial systems that have been built into the way in which the economy and the politics of the world we inhabit has been created. We need to recall the history of resistance to, you can call it fascism, you can call it authoritarianism, but there's a history of resistance in this country. We need to embrace that resistance. If you don't know enough about it, you have to learn something about it. but the resistance has always been there. Was it Mother Jones who said, "Don't mourn, organize"? Language revitalization is crucial. It allows for indigenous people to communicate their thoughts and cultures in the most authentic way, and it permits a connection to the wisdom and language of our ancestors. Define what your community is and create community with intentionality, so that intention should always drive your actions, which we'll get to. And finally, I think it's really important to work with gratitude for all the work that's been done before we got here. So work with gratitude and work with joy. And that includes even when you're doing things that you don't want to do because that feels like grunt work or it feels like technical work. It's work that's part of the process of change, and you need to embrace that with gratitude and with joy. So with that, I'll...
Hi, I just want to say that I'm very happy I was invited to this conference and able to meet many of you. On a personal note, I found a personal connection with Uncle, and that my wife's great uncle was an explorer from the Bronx, and in 1909, he went with, his name was Matthew Henson. He went with a guy named Perry to look for the geographic North Pole. He went to Greenland and fell in love with the culture there and spent 17 years studying Inuit culture. When he married an Eskimo woman, had family there. And I've been hearing these stories for 40 years. And I'm like, man, this is weird. Uncle knows my wife's family, and that was just really beautiful. So my mother-in-law is 90. I just can't wait to get home and tell her that I met someone who knows her Uncle Matthew's siblings. I mean, his great-grandchildren. So anyway, that was a personal note.
That just means that this next meeting will be in Greenland.
In terms of action, land, this is unequivocally the best way to solve the climate crisis. Occupy land, reclaim land on our own terms, formalize land, getting land back through various means, reparations for every colonized group, create indigenous spaces, land stewardship, amplify indigenous co-management and innovative partnerships with local communities, invest in systems and structures rooted in care, put your money where your mouth is. Every time you give a land acknowledgement, donate to an indigenous organization. There's a lot more to say there. Amplify the voices that have been marginalized and empower indigenous communities. Integrate storytelling and culture into our work. Work in partnership with other communities to combine and develop knowledge. Invest in trust and relationships, share information, educate, communicate, develop and empower intergenerational coalitions. Focus on the youth, center youth and elder voices. Food sovereignty, take back control of our food production and regionalize food systems. Food systems need to be designed for the people and planet. Bring academia to activism and advocacy. Universities must share the knowledge they create, such as the work we're doing. By the way, universities don't pay taxes because they are supposed to serve a public purpose. But but I haven't seen them called to task on what their public purposes are. How are they doing service? So that's law that ought to be enforced here. Deep relationship building. Connect with the Black workers movement and Latino workers movement. Learn how to support or flank other aligned movements. Build on existing kinships. Often we already know people who are part of other movements in our communities or even in our families. Reach out to people who differ with us to search for deeper sources of unity and connection. Take advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act's direct pay and other financing opportunities that will outlast the Biden administration. Build coalitions and collaborations to build capacities collectively to access and execute green energy projects. For example, coming out of the affordable housing movement decades ago, there are 4,000 community-based development corporations around the country that have decades of experiences in putting together complex financing packages, because that's what affordable housing requires. Those skills can be transferred for green energy projects and build upon. The CDCs have become kind of stale and politically dormant. They need you to wake them up. But on the other hand, they have resources you can use. Share success stories and best practices. Do massive community education on green opportunities. Co-create projects with community. Don't bring in community groups after projects are designed and put in motion, and resist if other folks try to do that. Maximize land ownership and community ownership at every opportunity, like community-owned microgrids and other systems. Develop relationships inside formal institutions as well as in communities in order to advance major projects, have an inside-outside game, which you really need to do if you want to get big things done. And concretely, you're going to be, right away today, you're going to be asked if you're willing to share information, your personal contact information, with everyone else who's in this room, so that we can begin the work of collaboration starting today. So that was it. Thank you.
One of the reasons to collect the information is we thought we might have a virtual follow-up meeting, so we connect people. We were thinking maybe January 6th would be a good date for that meeting.
I immediately co-signed this date.
Yeah, so if
like a good day for a meeting.
It sounds like a good day for a meeting for me too. So that's one of the ideas we had in mind.
We co-sign everything that they said. Also, I think it's important for us to note that there are no other people coming. There are other people working, and the only way we're going to meet them is if we're also working. So you're not waiting for someone else to give you another thing to do or another note to take or another opportunity. We are already in the thing we need to be doing. And everywhere you turn, there will be people who will have questions about it. And if you could pull a little bit of joy from this couple of days together to give you some energy to keep doing that, then we've done something.
I'll just add, because I just learned so much from all of you. I think, we come here as facilitators and experts in our field, but I think really the strength of this conference like this is that we get to hear, you all get to have direct conversations with each other about what's important to you and what brings you joy, but also we get to hear where you're coming from. And that not only gets me learning about things that maybe I haven't thought about, but it empowers me to feel empowered by you, if that makes sense. So thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the center and Gerald and Michael specifically for continuing to invite us to this conference and be part of leadership. And I am so inspired from what I learn each time I come to an event like this, particularly here for the EJ Center. I come with a sense of renewal and a sense of a soul. My soul, it feels full and ready to go back home and for the fight. And I just want to reiterate that we don't need to wait for a global treaty or a national treaty around climate change or environmental justice, and that for decades and centuries, action has been local. And to really maintain and understand that local power you have. And it's not also, we talked about this in our track, it's not about a very glitzy presidential campaign, but it's about your local campaigns as well, about that school board member that wants aspirations to be a state senator or a U.S. senator or a Congress member. And so to continually be involved in your local politics and always ask where are they on environmental justice and social justice issues, because they have aspirations to move up.
And I have one little challenge, which you can either accept or not accept, obviously. But those of you who are in academic institutions, as students or as faculty, and there's something that's kind of become rote, and that's the land acknowledgement at the beginning of these meetings. Let's commit to just a simple thing. Let's commit to having the land acknowledgements said in the language of the people who were there. Right? If we can do that, it's just a little thing, but it recognizes that we're not relating just to a historic past. We're bringing that past forward, and these are living cultures. Okay? So just, if you can start to do the discovery, find out who knows it. I'm going to get to work here. I'm not sure how many of the languages are recoverable. Some are lost, right? But even discovering which ones are lost is information that's useful to have. Okay, so that's just my little, you can throw that away if you want, but it occurred to me, it's a little thing we can do, right? And to hear the native languages coming out of the leaders of these institutions, it might just affect the way they think about the words that they're saying. Okay, so thank you.
Can I was telling Gerald, I'm African American, and by the way, African Americans, we don't know our ancient languages. We don't know even exactly where we came from. We know we came from Africa, but Africa's a lot of languages, a lot of tribes, a lot of folks. We don't know. We actually created our identity in the course of struggle against slavery and oppression and based our identity on that. That's what we are. However, after slavery, many black folks shed their slave names and adopted names. And my great aunt's name was Tequina Lakota Young. And I said to my wife, if I have a daughter, I want to name her after Antiki, Tequina. And my wife said, no, that sounds like names all these black folks be naming their kids, making up names, Tequina, this and that, Tiki. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, it just dawned on me that no, they just don't make up these names. They actually took indigenous names. And black folks are still naming their kids that way based on indigenous names, like my Aunt Tequina. That is like, that's what black folks have been doing. So I just want to say that actually that cultures are so intertwined in ways we don't even know, in ways we even haven't even explored, that our common traditions have been carried. So anyway.
Any final words? It's your party. I think you got closing. Michael, what was on tap? I could give a more formal closing.
We throw a party, the police come. So
we have a ceremony, but I want to say for the advisory committee, for the people who helped put this together. First of all, none of this would have worked without the student volunteers who worked their guts out. I want you to thank them. I want you to thank them. All right. They had to put up with some people, I won't say who, changing directions at the last minute, right? Which means because they're young, they were light on their feet, right? So they could move quickly. But I wanted to thank all of them. I wanted to thank Michael for working, Abby for helping us during the last phases, the Divinity School, the Institute for Sacred Music, for some of the spiritual practices. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank all of you for being here, plain and simple. Thank you.
I'm going to hand it over. We remember that we have we want to send some of this joy to the rest of the world, so please do head straight to the back when this is over to take a joyful photo, zoomed in with a drone for the world to know what we've been doing, because there's been a lot of great reactions. And I want to thank the man who did most of the work behind this conference, Ebby Loving, right here. So, and with that, I will hand it to him to help close us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. As you'll probably already know, I'm Ebby Loving. I've been running feverishly around campus for the past couple of days, so thank you for your patience while I run into you as well. So thank you for that. It is my absolute pleasure to be able to introduce a man that we have become to know here as Uncle. He is one of the last spiritual shamans of his people, carrying a lineage he never wanted to bear alone. He shoulders the weight of a 6,000-year-old tradition, a legacy of peace passed down through generations of his tribe, the only people on earth who have never waged war in their millennia-long history. He is the carrier of the wind drums, the sacred kilat, instruments that echo the breath and spirit of his ancestors. Uncle moves with these rhythms, channeling the stories of a people who chose endurance over conquest, wisdom over violence. He works as a guardian, fighting against time itself to ensure that his people's legacy will not vanish with him. With the weight of his role, he honors it, working to ensure that the world will remember the path that his people walked, a path of resilience and peace long after he's gone. It is with my great pleasure to introduce Uncle to the stage for his ceremonial act. Thank you.